Hey friends! In today's video, we're going to be completely transforming from a fresh, bare-faced, a little bit tired today to full-on glam, lashes, everything. I'm really excited to use some of the products that we have today. I went to Sephora and picked up a few new products that I haven't yet played with, and I'm so excited, particularly this little quad from Makeup by Mario. Real excited to create a super glamorous look with this. And then I picked up a couple of products that I used to love back in the day. Years ago, they were like some of my favorites, and it's been years since I've tried them or used them, so I was gonna see if I still have that same love for them. One is the Lancome Stick Foundation. If you've been a viewer of my channel since the beginning, you will remember that there was a good year where this foundation was all I could talk about, and so we're gonna use this. And then I also picked up the Tarte Park Avenue Princess Bronzer. I used to love this bronzer, and yeah, so we're gonna play with this. And then I purchased a couple of other new things. So let's go ahead and get started. I have no makeup on my face today, and I'm gonna start in with the foundation. So I got the shade 320 Bisque W, and I can't recall what I used to wear years ago when I had this, but I remember loving this foundation. I think I discovered it off Sona Gasparian's channel, and I still love her channel, but she was talking about this. I went and picked it up, and what I remember loving about it is it was very lightweight and it gave good coverage. And I also remember it blending out like so quickly. I actually remember doing a makeup class and using this foundation and just like going on and on about how quickly it blended out into the skin. Now, I will tell you this, I have actually used this since I purchased it this week. I went to Miami a couple of days ago for a shoot with Venus, and this is what I packed. They have changed the packaging since I purchased this last. Now it has this little brush on the end of it, but honestly, you guys, I haven't even used this brush and I have no interest in using it. It is so stiff. I like to use a brush that has, you know, more give. I use a dense foundation brush. I use our 106 or our 101, but the 106 is pretty dense, but it still has a lot more give, so you can really spread out and blend out foundation. So this color is perfect for me. I think I did a good job at getting the right shade. And I'm just gonna tell you right now, I really love this foundation. I remember it is as good as I remember it. The coverage is a good, I would say, medium coverage. You can build it and get a little bit more without it looking heavy or cakey. It has a natural matte finish. In my opinion, I'm gonna look up and see what the website says, what kind of finish claims they make. But to me, it's a very like natural matte. It doesn't look powdered or flat, but there's no radiance to it either. I also remember this being a very long wear foundation, which is important to me and something that I look for in a foundation. It just blends in like that. It's so quick. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more coverage in the center of the face, just a tiny bit. Yeah, I brought this with me to Miami because I was only going there for a shoot that was on one day. So I wanted to pack, you know, very simple and minimal. And so I just packed, you know, basically what I traveled in there that day. And then on the day of the shoot, I knew I didn't need much makeup because they were doing hair and makeup. So I brought just like the basic makeup essentials. And this is definitely the foundation that I will bring with me every time I travel because it looks really good. It's really quick and it's easy to travel with. It's a nice thin little stick. Okay, let me look this up and see what kind of claims they make as far as the finish. Okay, so this has 559 reviews and it's like almost 5 stars. It's like 4.5 stars. Okay, so it's described as having a matte finish and full coverage. Oil-free, long wearing. Yes, I definitely agree with the long wearing. The full coverage, it's buildable, so you can get great coverage. And the matte finish. A full coverage, oil-free, transfer-resistant foundation stick with a built-in kabuki brush, up to 24 hours of wear time, and a natural matte finish. Exactly, I was right. Okay, moving right along to concealer. I'm gonna use the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I have the shade 22 Light Neutral. And this is definitely a fuller coverage concealer, so I'm gonna be very careful with how much I apply. I'm gonna put a little bit in the inner corner and just like 2 extra little dots underneath. I'm gonna use my finger to kind of spread it, and then I'm gonna use a beauty sponge to blend it in. But first we're gonna just take our finger and kind of spread it across. Perfect. And then we're gonna take the beauty sponge and we're gonna blend this in. When I'm working with a full coverage concealer like this, I prefer a sponge over a brush because it is going to give you the most natural finish, and it's also gonna absorb any excess product so you don't end up with too much. Now, I really like to make sure I get that inner corner. That's where a lot of us have a little bit more darkness there, or you can see a little vein there. Mine is green. So I wanna make sure that I get that inner corner. And then I also like to kind of pull the sponge or brush, whatever you're using, up so that you get a little bit of concealer here. It's gonna give you give your eye a little bit of a lift in a very subtle and natural way. Perfect. The skin looks so good. Very natural, matte, good coverage. Okay, moving right along, I am going to go ahead and go in with bronzer, and then I will set everything with a powder. So I'm using the Tarte Park Avenue Princess Bronzer. This is a really beautiful, soft, shimmery bronzer, but the shimmery is not thick or heavy. It's very like a light. It's a little step up from a sheen. It's got a golden shimmer to it, and I'm gonna use a big, fluffy, soft bronzing brush just so that I don't apply too much of it. This is the BK Beauty 103. Oh, the color is perfect. It's just beautiful and warm. Having that gold shimmer to it really gives the skin a really pretty glow. I think this is a pretty bronzer for the summer especially. Can I talk? I'm gonna run a little bit over my nose, and then I'm gonna run a little bit of it in my temples. If you apply your bronzer before you set the foundation with powder, you'll notice that your bronzer goes on a little deeper, a little more intense, because that foundation is almost working like an adhesive. It's kind of grabbing the product and allowing more color to show. If you set it with powder, now you have a drier surface, so the bronzer and pigment doesn't quite stick to it. So there's a little tip. Okay, I need to grab a powder. I'm gonna take my number 7 Lift and Illuminate powder. I have the shade Light Medium, and I'm gonna use the same brush, and I'm basically just going to set my face and go over that bronzer a little bit too. Really soft and light. Okay, for brows, I'm gonna mix it up. I actually grabbed my pencil and my gel, but I'm gonna use this product from Benefit. It's called Ka-Brow. This came in a Allure beauty box, and I've really been enjoying it. So it has this little brush here at the top. It's just kind of like your classic stiff angle brush. And then it has a little pomade here in the container, and I just stick the brush in there. And I do like to use my hand to kind of like basically wipe off excess product because it does pick up more than I need. And then I'm just gonna go and fill my brows in. Okay, I am gonna prep my eyelids, and I don't have an eyeshadow primer in front of me, so I'm gonna use a little bit of the Shape Tape. This concealer is one of the best, I think, for like doubling as an eyeshadow primer because it's so long wearing. So I'm just gonna put a tiny bit, you don't want a lot, and I'm gonna use my sponge to blend that in really quickly. Perfect. All right, so the palette that I picked up at Sephora is the Glam Quads Bronzy Glam palette from Makeup by Mario. It is a beautiful, beautiful little quad palette of, you know, bronzy, warm tone shades. You have one matte, and then you have 3 shimmer shades. Here, it looks like this one right here has got a little bit more of a glittery texture to it. I will include some swatches here on bare, dry skin so that you can see how each of these shades pay off. So yes, I'm excited. Let's dive in here. I'm gonna take this little sticker off the mirror because I'm gonna use this mirror. All right, so, I have to say I'm a little intimidated because the only shade here for a matte transition is this one, and it's very deep. So I'm not gonna start there. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start with this shade right here. This is a, like, what would you call this? This is like an olivey golden bronze. This is what it looks like on the finger. This is what it swatches like on the hand. So pretty. Okay, so we are gonna go and I'm gonna apply this with a brush actually. Do I have a good eyeshadow brush here? I do not. Lisa, you are so unprepared. Okay, so let's zoom you guys in a little bit closer while we do the eyes. All right, so I'm gonna load the brush up and we're gonna pack this onto the lid. Okay, let's try our finger. I'm not quite getting the payoff that I want. Yes, okay, so this particular shade, I think your finger is gonna be the best way to pick it up. Wow, that is gorgeous. It almost looks like a liquid shadow on the skin. So pretty, a very unique color. Okay, I did go grab a backup palette. I'm using the BK Beauty True Beauty palette just to add some shades for my brow highlight and a transition shade. So I'm gonna go in with the shade Beam and Brooklyn, and I'm gonna mix the two of those together, and we're gonna highlight the brow with those two. This is like a really old MAC brush. This is a 224 when they were made in France. This brush right here is probably, okay, so do you see how I have nail polish on the bottom of it? That is what we used to do when I worked at the MAC counter to identify whose brushes were who. We would paint the bottom of them with nail polish the same color. So all of mine were this color. This brush is probably over 20 years old. Okay, I am gonna get back to this palette, do not worry, but the shades are so beautiful in this, but honestly, I wanna create like a look that has a lot more dimension to it, so I need to dip into another palette. So I'm gonna go in with the shade Love from the True Beauty palette, this one right here, and I'm gonna work this into my crease. This is gonna be my start to my transition shade. I'm gonna go in with the Makeup by Mario, that rich reddish brown matte, and we're gonna build on this, but I want something that's a little lighter down first. And I'm gonna take it all the way over and really kind of work it into the bulk of my brow to give a very kind of like sultry, smoky look. Oh, good. Our boxes are here. Paul was like, I need you to be home tomorrow because he's got some appointments today, and we're getting a bunch of like our shipping boxes that we ship our BK Beauty products in delivered to the house, but it's like a big delivery. Like they show up with pallets of like thousands of these boxes. And anyway, I see them, or they're here, but he's still here, so he's receiving them. Because I was kind of, you know, when you have a delivery and it's like the windows from like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and you're like, great, I basically am, you know, stuck to the house all day. So I'm glad that they're here. Okay, this is so pretty. I love the combination of these two colors. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Okay. All right. Next, I'm going to go back to the Makeup by Mario quad, and I'm going to grab this shade right here, this really red, rich, matte brown. And I'm going to grab a smaller, you know what, we're actually going to use that old 224 because look at how tapered and tight that tip is. The 224s do not look like this anymore, but this one has been shaped perfectly over the decades that I've had it. So I'm going to dip this into this palette, and we're going to use the tip of it just to kind of work that into the outer corner and crease. Okay, so let me ask you guys this. So I think this palette is beautiful. I had been wanting it for a long time. I finally bought it. I don't think that this is a palette that you're gonna get a full look out of. So how do you guys feel about that? When you buy a palette, do you want a palette that has everything you need? Or are you guys fine with buying, you know, little mini palettes and kind of mixing and matching from other palettes to create a complete look? Okay, so these are really great quality. You get really nice payoff. They're easy to blend out. I love this color. Also, because I put that base color from the True Beauty palette down first, it kind of tones down a little bit of the red in this shade. Okay, that is so pretty. Next, I'm gonna go in with the lightest shade in the Makeup by Mario palette, and I'm taking the BK Beauty 207 brush, and I'm just gonna pop this right here in the inner corner to brighten it up a little bit. I'm just gonna pop that right there just to give a little bit of brightness. That first color I laid down, that like olivey gold, I feel is just a little too dark for my coloring and my eye color. So adding some brightness back to it really lightens up the mood. Okay, then I'm going to put a little bit of that same shade right here in the inner corner. Then I'm gonna take the other shade, the last shade that I haven't used. It's like a kind of a mid-tone coppery shade, and I'm going to work that under my lower lash line. And I'm gonna apply a pretty good, generous amount of that because I am gonna go over it with a dark liner, and I want you to see some of that shadow peeking through. And it's also light enough to where you really can create a nice thick smoky line and it's not gonna look heavy or dark. Okay, let's kind of brush away any fallout. So pretty. Okay, next I'm gonna go and line my lower lash line, and I did pick up a new pencil by Makeup by Mario. This is the shade Soft Brown, and I did get to play with this. It's such a creamy, creamy formula. I'll show you guys. It's a very red brown. It's really unique. It's not like a typical coffee brown. It almost reminds me a lot of that shadow. Do you guys see that? It looks very similar to the color of that shadow. So I'm going to line my lower lash line. Now, this liner is so creamy. I personally think you need to go back and set it with a little bit of eyeshadow or smudge it out with a brush, because it is so creamy that if you have oily eyelids or a lot of textured eyelids and your skin kind of folds, it could move a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, do I have my 204 brush here? Yes, I'm gonna take my little tiny BK Beauty 204 brush. I'm gonna pick up that shadow here, the dark one, and we're gonna run it over the eyeliner a little bit. This is basically setting it just like we would set a cream foundation. I am setting a cream eyeliner with powder. If you give the eyeliner enough time, it will set and dry, but you don't want it to move or crease before it does. Okay, that is so pretty. I love that. Okay, next I'm gonna go and tight line my eyes, and I'm gonna use the Trish McEvoy gel eyeliner. This is my favorite black pencil liner. It is so pigmented, so soft, and I really use it to tight line. It's not like a lot of fuss. Like I just do it real quick and I get a really rich opaque line there. So pretty, so nice. Next, I'm gonna line my inner rim on the bottom lash line. I'm using the Makeup by Mario pencil, and I freshly sharpened this, so it should go on like a dream. Oh yeah, so nice. Freshly sharpen it, lay it on its side, and it's beautiful. So pretty. Oh my God, I love that. This is my favorite makeup trick, is lining the inner waterline. It just makes you look awake. It makes you look very glamorous. The key is having a lower lash line liner though. So like I wouldn't line the inner rim of my eye with a brightening pencil and then leave my lower lash line bare, because then it looks strange. It looks very, you know, obvious. This, if you line the lower lash line with a darker liner and then line the inner rim, it's just like instant celebrity. It just is so beautiful. Okay, next I'm gonna pop on false lashes, and I will be right back. Okay, so I got the lashes on. I'm gonna give them a few minutes to completely dry, and then I will go back and add some mascara to just really give them that extra oomph. Okay, I also feel like I need to kind of blot a bit. All right, for blush, I'm gonna go in and use this palette here. This is by NARS. It is the Full Dimension 1 Cheek Palette, and I love this palette. It really has everything you need: bronzer, blush, and highlighter. I love this shade of bronzer. However, you know, obviously I've already applied a bronzer, so I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna mix the two of these shades together. This one has a little bit of shimmer and it's a little bit deeper, and then this one's a little bit lighter and matte. And I'm just gonna pop that onto my cheeks. This is also a great travel palette. I packed this in my trip to Miami too, because I had my bronzer in blush color. I feel like I got a little fallout from that Makeup by Mario palette, and I have a little bit of shimmer on my cheeks, but that's okay. Oh my God, I'm loving these eyes. It's so fun. So moving right along to lips, I'm using the Laura Mercier lip pencil in the shade Hazelnut. And I did kind of fill in most of my lip with that. Then I'm gonna go in with the lipstick by Marc Jacobs. It's the shade Sonic Truth. So pretty. And then last, I'm gonna top it with the lip gloss by Tower 28 in the shade Coconut. So pretty. Okay, let's go add a little mascara now that these lashes have had time to dry. I'm gonna use the Tarte Man Eater mascara. And I am gonna be pretty heavy-handed with this mascara because the lashes I'm using are very light and natural, and I want more volume. I love the length of these, but I need a little more volume. Oh, there we go. Now we're talking. I usually do not put this much mascara on lashes. Not that it's bad, but you just can't reuse them as much if you get them, you know, this full of makeup. The less makeup you have on them, the more uses you get out of them. But also the thinner and kind of flimsier the lash, which this is a thinner, flimsier style, you're not gonna get as many uses, because when you pull them off, they kind of lose their shape a little bit. So I'm already knowing that this particular lash style is not one that I'm gonna reuse a lot. So pretty. Okay, I love, love this look. And this is the finished look, full on glam. I love it. I have to say, you guys, I love this palette. Really, really happy with this palette. I don't have everything I need in it, but that's okay. I have a few standout shades and shadows that really pull together and make this look what it is, which I love. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will have everything listed and linked in the description box below, including the shades that I use in concealer, foundation, and all of that. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.